What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Loading Up Podcast. I'm your host, Producer J, and I'm with my co-host, Brother Zay.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on, man? Brother Tay is not with us this week. He had to take a trip to the south, and he's actually on a flight as we speak. So there's no way he was going to be able to join us, but he'll be back next week, hopefully. But
He should be. Yeah, he'll be back.
He should be. But anyway, how you been?
I've been good. I've been playing a lot of Wild Hearts and just enjoying some MLB The Show 23.
Wait, that came out already?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, man, I have been out of the loop. I'm going to be honest, this week has been really rough for me in terms of gaming.
Oh, yeah, it's a good game, man. They added some good stuff. I really like it. Enjoying it.
Oh, shit, I'm going to have to check it out then.
Definitely.
Yeah, so you've been playing anything? Well, you said Wild Hearts, right?
Wild Hearts and MLB The Show are my new go-to besides Ni no Kuni too. But
Right.
that's an RPG game. I'll be on that for a long time.
Yeah. Nah, I like I said, this week out for whatever reason it's just been like rough,
Yeah.
to say the least, to play, like just time management wise. But
Of course.
I've been sneaking in a little bit of WWE as usual.
Nice.
I wanted to record or not record. I wanted to stream this weekend, but I was not able to. Like I could not find the time. And
It's so good.
I know. So hopefully this weekend coming up, I will be able to stream because I do like it and I miss it. And I do want to play, and I don't want to play because I want to play Resident Evil, but I don't want to play it off the stream because then it's kind of like it ruins the whole aspect of me. I mean, even though it's Resident Evil 4, I kind of remember a lot of stuff, but it's more fun when it's a fresh playthrough,
Well, it'll work out perfectly because you're streaming on our YouTube channel where hopefully everybody's listening, and if you're not, you catch it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all that.
Right.
Hopefully when you stream, people who are listening to the podcast will come to the stream, and hopefully they like and subscribe to our channel, and that way we could continue doing this.
Yes, absolutely. Like a lot of people. I mean, I'm one of them that they kind of like toss that to the side, but
Yeah.
it really is important for you to like and subscribe and actually listen to what we're saying because we got some pretty interesting topics. Not for nothing.
Facts.
But speaking of interesting topics, we can just get right into the news then.
Absolutely. So right now, some of the biggest news right now is E3 has been completely canceled.
Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so.
Yep. Repop and E3 Association, they all confirmed it is canceled. I was wondering what was going to happen at E3 because so many people were either just not showing up or pulling out. I was like, wow, E3 is going to be dead this year. And then a day later, they announced officially they're canceling E3.
Yeah, it was pretty funny because as we were preparing for this episode, I've been noting different news items and stuff like that. So one of the news items was that a lot of people are pulling out. There's Sega, Ubisoft, I mean Sony and Nintendo already. Microsoft kinda. They were still gonna be there, but they weren't gonna be on the show floor. Or no, they weren't gonna have a press conference, but they were gonna be on the show floor. So it was like they were there, but not really.
Yeah.
But yeah, so everybody was pulling out. EA pulled out years ago. So it's who is left to be there? And then they just said, you know what? Screw it. It's done. Canceled.
I mean, all these big publishers rather spend them on their money elsewhere. They can do a simple digital, showcase, much like Xbox does in the summer,
Right.
or even PlayStation's, state of plays and stuff like that. They can do that and save money than rather spend a bunch of money at these big venues doing big shows for, little return.
Right. It's been mostly a tradition, if anything, that just publishers show up for E3 because that's where you show off your stuff. But now that was sort of from a bygone era, if you think about
Definitely.
it. They really didn't have access to these trailers. Like you had to watch E3 to see these trailers.
Yeah.
Now it's just watch on YouTube. Like
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
that go-to anymore.
We can stream it now, fellas.
Yeah, exactly. I remember I used to watch G4
Yes,
for
G4.
E3, and I used to get excited. I used to like looking forward to coming home and watching it and going through like the interviews and the breakdowns of everything that but that's like you don't need that anymore. You just watch it whenever you can. Like it's on YouTube. It's live stream. You could go back if you're late, you could just rewind it. It's like it's more convenient now to just not care about the actual event itself, and it's mostly just trailers. So you don't need to go to an event to do that, you know?
Yeah, why waste the money setting up, paying all these, different vendors and stuff to set up and make some big showcase, and then, for what?
I was though kind of looking forward to how it was going to be this year, because they hired the ESA hired the people behind like the Comic Cons.
Yes, ReedPop.
Yeah, ReedPop to do this event. And if it's anything like a Comic Con, I think that would be actually kind of cool. Like to see just basically not focus too much on the game. Well, I guess obviously the games are important, but it's like it's more of like a community thing, because that's what really Comic-Con is about. Like, yeah, it's about meeting people and getting news and stuff like that, but it's also like being around other fans, you know? So
Yeah.
I was more interested on that aspect, because I've always wanted to go to like a gaming convention, and that's just like all people cosplaying and all this and that, and like E3 was kind of like that. So
Yeah. E3 was itself its own little Comic-Con,
It was, yeah, but it was kind of unorganized, because the ESA never really intended it for it to be that, and at least from the beginning. And that's why there was like a few years where they didn't even allow public, right? It was only just press.
Yeah, at one point, a while ago, it wasn't public. It was press. You had to be some sort of organization, a journalist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it was kind of like a love-hate relationship with the ESA, but then they kind of, once they hired ReedPop, I guess they were kind of gonna go all in, but not anymore.
Yeah, definitely not. At least not for E3. They may plan other things,
No, because now freaking what's his name, Jeff Keighley, because he has his own show that's kind of gonna be the de facto E3 type show during the summer, which is Summer Games Fest. I think that's what it's called.
The Games Fest, yes.
Yeah, so he's gonna kind of reap all the benefits of E3 canceling, because now all publishers are gonna go to him.
That's crazy to think that it's just gonna be all in, plus the like the digital events, State of Plays, Nintendo Directs, and all that.
Mm-hmm. And I think, was it last year, or maybe it was like 2 years ago when they first canceled E3, that they kind of branded themselves with all the publishers. Like I remember, I think it was Sony, that their press conference or their direct or whatever, they had the Summer Games Fest like branding on it. And I think maybe it was an Xbox, but there was other publishers that had their own direct or trailer thing that was branded with the Summer Games Fest. So it's like that association is enough to be like, oh, I can't wait for Summer Games Fest, because that's where all the trailers are coming out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see what this means for E3 going forward. Is it just this year, or is it just done forever? Because
I know, right? After
I have
this,
no idea.
Who knows?
This is going to be very interesting going forward.
Definitely. Yeah, we'll just jump right into some more news. Xbox appears to be readying new Xbox expandable storage options from other manufacturers other than the Seagate option. New Western Digital 1 terabyte expansion card for Xbox Series consoles was spotted early on Best Buy, priced at $179.99. I think that's terrible still.
Yeah, that's way too high still. Like,
it's literally just $40 cheaper.
I mean, it's cheaper, so that is a plus.
It's a plus, but yeah, they could do better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Considering, you can get like an M.2 for your PS5 at like $89 for a terabyte now. And you can find it on a deal, which is very doable. Like There's even one on sale right now. Samsung 980 Pro 1 TB for the PS5, priced at $80.
Yeah,
So
that's amazing.
that's really good, you know. So Xbox needs to, one, never do an exclusive like expansion with a particular company. Allow
Yeah,
anybody to make it and compete, because obviously the competition will be better. Hopefully that will make Seagate's prices drop, and hopefully other you know, storage expansion people, hopefully other companies come up about and make a storage expansion for the series consoles that are even cheaper than that, because although it's cheaper than the Seagate, it's, I feel like it's still too expensive.
it's still very expensive, and like you said, they had that exclusive deal with Seagate. I think that was
Right.
mostly just to get the card out on time for the console launch. But now they were kind of like kicking themselves in the ass because they couldn't get any more out. Like it was just Seagate,
It was just
and
Seagate, yeah.
the Seagate controlled the prices, so that's why it never dipped. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, there were sales. I actually got mine on sale. Um, I got the 1 TB for, I think it was like, because normally it's like what, 217 or something like
Yeah,
that.
220. Yeah.
220, yeah. So I got mine for like, because I just got it on like a Target sale, and I used the
Ah.
discount, and I think yeah, so like I ended up paying like maybe like 170, 160, something like that. So it was cheaper for me, but that was me looking out for a deal. But even
Yeah.
then, that was still a lot.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of deals on the expansion card, brother Matt, he actually got his from a GameStop that was closing down, and it was like priced at like 50% off.
oh shit.
So he got his for half price.
Wow. That's
Big-
insane.
it was a great find. It was a great find. So
Yeah, no,
yeah.
you gotta be on the lookout for those things. But hopefully with this new, because this technically hasn't been officially announced. It was leaked.
It was leaked
Um,
early. Yeah, it was
yeah,
leaked
so
early.
hopefully this brings down the prices faster, and hopefully this means that even more manufacturers can make it, like not just like the big names, because that's one thing. Granted, I'm fine with it right now, but I know a lot of people have been holding out in the hopes that the prices go down, but it never did.
Yeah, it never
So
did. Yeah,
people are still looking for expandable storage, and 217 or 220 is way too much
it's
for one
ridiculous.
terabyte.
I,
And then
I,
they
I
have a 2 TB that's almost as much as the freaking console itself.
yeah, it's like $500 is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah.
I'm the one who bought the 1 TB Seagate at full price.
I mean,
I couldn't do it. I ended up buying it, and I hate myself for it.
listen, if you need the space, you need the space. But that's the problem. Like people need storage, so it's like
Definitely.
you need the demand. The demand is there, but if there's only one manufacturer, they can just charge whatever and make them as fast as they want to because they control the market. But now that
Yeah,
there's more, hopefully that changes things. But we'll see how that goes.
definitely. Well, speaking of prices going down, it looks like if the prices, if the sale numbers for the PSVR 2 do not go up, the price may have to go down, because the next report coming in from Bloomberg, the PSVR 2 is not selling very well at all. They sold
Mm-mm.
270,000 units in February, and it's just not good enough. I think they made like 2 million total and shipped out 2 million, and they've only sold 270,000. And now people are wondering, well, are they going to lower the price so that more people can buy it, or are they just going to take the hit and move on to the next big sort of gimmick?
Yeah, like I called it from the start. Like VR, as cool as it sounds, and as cool as it is, because I've played VR games, it's just it doesn't have a market. Like
Yeah.
there's not a big enough audience to go all in on it right now,
Yeah.
because there's still the issue of getting motion sickness from it. Like if that's the main thing that's keeping people from playing long periods of time, then it's never gonna take off, because people are not gonna want to buy a freaking $500 thing to use it for just 10 minutes before they gotta take it off. Like
No, it's
that's not
550.
practical.
It's 550. It's more expensive than the
But
digital console. It's crazy.
yeah,
You
that's
know?
what, even worse. So it's like people don't want to spend that much money
Yeah.
for limited experiences. That's why I always said when VR started to take off, I was like, I don't see it being a commercial hit for home use. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it'll have people who are willing to buy it or who have the space for it. But honestly, I see it more being applicable in public places, like for like arcades or even like VR specific places where you can have a whole room dedicated to it and you pay to like use it for however long it is.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like that's a much smarter business strategy than to focus on home use when it's super niche and it has yet to have that killer app for it because
Yeah.
people they only want to cater to those isolated like short experiences, so they purposely make their game shorter and more smaller because people are not going to be playing it that long.
Yeah.
There was one, what was it, Half-Life Alex, which kind of like was trying to push it, but even then, like freaking a Half-Life game couldn't move units.
I know.
And if that doesn't show you how popular VR is, then like I don't know what is or what will, because you need that killer app. You need that one game or a handful of games to get people to buy it, and there's nothing right now. It's just a
Yeah.
bunch of like small little. And you know, it reminds me of the early days of smartphones when all of it was just like fun little like time waster apps. Like it was there was Facebook, and then there was like I guess like other ones there, but then there was just like, oh, the beer app where you can like tilt the phone and you pretend to drink a
Oh
beer.
yeah.
Stupid little shit like
I
that. That
remember
like
that.
that's why people bought the phone, because like, oh, look what I could do. I could
Oh look,
pretend
I
I'm
got a little
drinking.
lighter here.
I got a little lighter. Yeah, I got a lightsaber. It makes lightsaber sounds.
Yeah. Oh my
But
god, that's so funny.
that's what PSVR or just VR in general feels like right now. There's a bunch of little cool nifty things on it, but nothing is like, I need this for that.
Yeah.
You know?
I personally feel that they wasted a big opportunity with PSVR 2 in the sense that they could have put all this technology, because I seen the graphics on the PSVR 2. The graphics are great. They're really good.
Oh yeah.
They're leaps and bounds ahead of what it was from the Quest and the Vive and all that. So the graphics look amazing, but I really feel like they should have put all this tech into a really good handheld, something to rival the Steam Deck, something to replace the PSP and the Vita, something good. They could have did that market, because believe it or not, with the Switch being mobile, the Steam Deck taking off, I feel like the mobile market and the handheld market is still out there, and I think both PlayStation and Xbox, they're missing out on a good opportunity here.
Yeah. No, I mean, the mobile market is starting to grow, and that's in part due to, like you said, the Steam Deck and also the Nintendo Switch, obviously, because that's like the most popular console slash handheld right now.
Yeah.
And then also there's cloud gaming that's also on the rise that you can play mobile. So it's like, I feel like Microsoft kind of chose I don't want to say they chose the better path, but they chose the more practical path, because cloud gaming is where it shows more growth.
Yeah.
And even then, like in the whole freaking Activision thing, like regulators even see that
Definitely.
cloud gaming is the new, kind of like the new frontier, where you can expand more and do more things that weren't previously possible. So with VR, it's like, I mean, how long has VR been out at this point? Like,
Oof.
I think it's been almost like 10 years.
I
But
mean,
I feel
at the like headset level where we can take a headset and play, yes.
right,
But
yeah.
VR has been around for a long time.
Yes, that's true. So yeah, but it's like this, it doesn't seem to find its foothold in, like, at least within the gaming community.
Definitely, I
I'm
agree.
sure there's like other applications that work better for VR. Like I don't know off the top of my head, but for gaming in particular, I feel like it just can't find that audience. And I think
Yeah.
companies need to stop like either put everything on it, or like put your all into it, or just don't even try. And I feel
Yeah.
like Sony is kind of doing that, but it feels like they're still like kind of tepid about it. They're not fully into, like, they're creating side experiences. Like the, what is it, that Horizon, it was a Call of the Mountain.
Yeah, Golden.
That's a VR specific experience. I feel like you can't, like, if they really wanted to, they would make a full on PlayStation 5 game that you can play in VR. Not just a side experience, oh, it's like on the rails or whatever. Like, find a way to get your flagship titles onto PSVR. The same way kind of like Resident Evil does, where like it's a game you can play regular, but if you have PSVR, you can play that too. You
Yeah.
know? So, um, I don't know. I don't know what it's gonna take, or what these companies want to do. But if not, like you said, PSVR is gonna freaking drop in price and pretty much die.
That's crazy. We'll have to wait and see what Sony does in the wake of the the sale numbers, because it could just be that they will lower the price so they can sell more units, or they'll keep it at that price and just hope for the best.
I don't know. Who knows what they'll do?
Yeah, they're they're unpredictable at times.
At times, they're almost always unpredictable.
All right, we're gonna get into some news about video games or multiverses. So Warner Brothers game Multiverses is shutting down. The open beta ahead of full release targeted early 2024. So the beta is now shut down, but they said if you downloaded it before April 4th, you could still load it up and play in offline mode. But yeah, this begs to differ about all the people who spent money on this game, because you could have brought battle passes and characters. You
Yeah.
know, what does that mean for the people who spend money? What's
It,
gonna happen?
it,
Is the
it
game ever gonna release? Did
you know what it
it's
means? It means they got duped. They got swindled. They got pretty much. Like, I don't know why, because they did this happen before, where companies market things as a beta, but it is pretty much the game. Like, you don't
yeah, like
just release it.
Fortnite.
Like Fortnite. Fortnite technically is still in beta,
Yeah,
but you can
definitely
buy, you like spend money. People spend like hundreds and hundreds of dollars on this thing, and it's like
thousands.
thousand. Like, how is this a beta? Like, it should be illegal to spend money on a beta, you know? So, but
Yeah,
that's how they get away with, like, having like unfinished things, or the constantly ever changing aspect of it, or whatever the case may be. Yeah, no, honestly, that's the biggest rug pull I've ever seen, in terms of uh just abandoning your community. And granted, the community was like abandoning the game itself, so that's kind of why they're canceling it too.
maybe.
But
Yeah,
it
a
just
lot of
seems,
people's left.
yeah, it just seems so slimy to take people's money on the founders pack or whatever,
Yeah,
and then just cancel, and they can't even play it for a whole year. I mean, if they have it, they could play offline mode, but it's like, that's not why people bought it. They bought it to play online and do
yeah, to play online and
challenges.
fight with your friends, or just go online and
Yeah,
compete.
that was
You
the main
know,
aspect of it. And then to tell them that they just can't play it anymore, or online anymore, that's really shitty.
it really is.
Like, they spend that money, like, they can't get that back.
No, they
So,
won't ever be able to get any of that back. And who
yeah.
knows if once the game is fully released, will any of the stuff that they did buy will be there,
Right. Exactly.
which is
So,
even worse.
yeah, it's just really a bad look all around, and I hope this is a cautionary tale for people who get into these types of like open betas and stuff like that. Like, don't spend your money on a beta. Just
Yep.
don't do it. Wait till the game comes out, because like they literally launched the thing, said it was in beta, and they never gave it a release date. They just said it's in beta, and then have at it. Like, no, like, you wait for an official announced date, and then you go from there, because this is what happens.
Yeah, it's definitely not good news for the fans. And
And it
definitely
wasn't
not.
even a bad game. That's the thing. It's just
No, it was fun.
they failed to capitalize on the hype. So it's like it had a whole lot of hype around it, and then I feel like there was like a glitch or something wasn't working right, and they dragged their feet to address it, and people
No,
started coming off of it because this is like, why am I gonna keep playing if it's not working, you know?
I don't remember a glitch.
Or maybe it wasn't a glitch. It was something about it that people were just like, okay, once
I know
that's
people were
addressed,
tired of the maps that they did have,
or maybe it was just the
and
lack of updates then.
yeah, and people were the lack of updates for balancing the characters, because there were some characters that were just absolutely
Oh,
broken. You
okay.
know, like Bugs Bunny and Superman. They were just broken. There was this I forget the name of this other character. It's like a dog deer thing that you could use to literally save like your opponents from falling off the map, and you could just endlessly save them. It was the
Mm,
game had its troubles, but it was still fun.
right.
And just closing down has not set a good precedent for other future games, and it's like you said, a cautionary tale.
Yeah. So I mean, just be smarter with your money, people.
Definitely, definitely. Well, speaking of being smart with your money, I'm giving my money away to this next game. Absolutely, I don't even care. So, a new, very different style of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game is currently in development. And it's an adaptation of the Last Ronin, the 2020 graphic novel that tells a grim story, a futuristic story about the turtles, where all the turtles but one is dead, and the vengeance of and the story that this turtle goes through to try and avenge his brother's deaths. And they tell you eventually in the graphic novel who the last Ronin is, which turtle it is, and it's a very grim story. And I cannot wait for this one to go to a video games because it will be awesome. I love the graphic novel, and hearing about this game coming out was just really good.
Yeah,
I was like, I can't wait.
I remember hearing about this the comic like years ago.
Yeah, I
Not
mean,
years ago. It came out in 2020, right?
no, this years ago, it was 3 years ago.
Okay, so no, I heard that it was being made, that they
Yeah,
announced the comic, and I remember
yeah,
thinking like, yo, it's a cool idea, like a darker story, and it's more like geared towards adults, it's gritty, whatever. And remember
yes,
a few weeks ago we were talking about like, oh, what's your dream game or whatever,
yeah.
and I was like, yo, this is a dream game, like freaking a Ninja Turtle who is avenging the brother's deaths, and it's supposedly gonna be inspired by like God of War type gameplay,
Yes,
and
it
it's
is
like,
a third-person action role-playing game, so kind
yes,
of like God of War.
yeah, so that just sounds so freaking cool, and
I know.
I hope they nail it. The only thing that kind of has me like a little bit like caution is like they don't have a developer yet. That's really gonna determine like how excited I am for it, because once they announce a developer, then I'll give my full judgment. Right now, the idea is cool. It's like like out of my childhood, but we'll see who is actually developing the game before I get too excited. But yeah, no, the idea is great, and I'm glad they're at least doing it. You know?
Well, it's gonna be great. I think either way, with the technology that we have for all these next gen consoles, I think this game is gonna be top notch. Over just think about this: over the shoulder, third person view, action game similar to God of War, where you're just going about
Like I
just
said,
murdering people for
on paper, it sounds really good. I'm not
yeah.
denying that. I'm just saying I want to make sure that it's actually going to be good, because we've had a few stinkers that sound nice on paper.
Wait, what stinkers are nice on paper?
Well, I mean, if you want to go to one of our next stories,
So yeah, we will definitely. The Last of Us Part One on PC was released, and it was broken, completely broken. People were taking hours to just load in shaders. We're
That
talking about
that
2-3
part
hours.
that part I could not even like fathom, like how would you even like. I remember somebody was posting things like, oh, like the Steam refunds only, like you have to be under 2 hours before you get a refund,
Yes.
and then it took like an hour and a half to load the shaders, so it's like, and
Yes.
then you have to wait 30 minutes before you get to like actual gameplay, like gun gameplay, so it's like you had no time, they got you before you even realized if you wanted to actually play this game or not.
Yeah, definitely. And it's really sad because it was Naughty Dog's worst reviewed game ever, which is sad because they make good games and they're a good developer, but I guess they don't know how to port games to the PC very well, which is very surprising and very sad. You know, because
Yeah.
we all know most games are developed on the PC and then they're ported using the developers kits. You know,
Yes.
so like, what happened? Something in translation just messed up. Why did it mess up? Especially for big time game like The Last of Us Part One. You know,
No,
why?
I think I know exactly what happened. I think it was just rushed. They wanted to have it in time to capitalize on the hype from the show, because everybody was coming off the show and it's like, oh, I want to play the new game, or the relatively new, because it's a remake.
Yeah,
But it's like it's the newer version of the original, so it's like it's the same story. I want to play what I just
yeah.
saw, and synergy. But they didn't anticipate that it was actually going to be a bad port. And it's like you said, it's very surprising for Naughty Dog, who has like a very high like standard when it comes to quality and performance and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure, was it the Uncharted games are on PC, right? I never heard any hiccups with those, right? Or is it, which
No,
Uncharted games? Is it 4 is on PC?
I'm not sure which one is on PC.
Hold on.
I could look that up right now, but I believe um I think it wasn't Naughty Dog who did the port
Okay, so
for.
they do have all the games. It's the Legacy
Okay,
of Thieves collection, so it's like all of them.
yes, it's all of them. Yeah.
All right. So I don't remember hearing anything about like bad performance. Even on Steam itself, it has like a very positive rating, 89%.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but like you said, it could have been done by a different studio. So,
I think it was because Sony had hired different companies to do PC ports. So I think Naughty Dog is taking the brunt of it because they made the game, but I think another company is the one who actually did the port for them. And even if that's the case, Naughty Dog should have had to say, Sony should have had to say, to not release such a crappy port. Um, it just looks really bad. You can't release a game like Naughty Dog, like Naughty Dog, like The Last of Us,
mhm.
especially after the show, how great it was, and then it do this bad. You just can't do that. It puts a
Yeah.
bad taste in gamers' mouths and players' mouths, even new gamers who want, like you said, want to experience playing the story of what they just saw on the TV show. It puts a bad taste in their mouth. Now maybe they're not gamers anymore because they had a bad experience on their PC. Of
Oh, so you want to hear something?
course.
So they didn't actually port. They didn't port it by themselves.
Aha.
They teamed up with Iron Galaxy.
Iron Galaxy, that's
And
the company.
do you want to know what game that they are also infamous for
Oh
porting
no.
to PC?
What's
The
that?
the Dark Knight,
Oh.
or not the Dark Knight, the Batman Arkham Knight. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, Arkham Knight. Oh yeah, that did have a.
That was
Yeah, it wasn't that great.
notoriously bad
Yeah,
PC port.
so maybe that's on Sony's heads, who it shouldn't be directly on Naughty Dog.
Yeah, so it was just bad overall. Like, it's just bad management. Like I said, they probably rushed it because they wanted to have the show coincide with it. It's not a good look, and hopefully going forward, because just to tie into this, Naughty Dog has said that they are going forward, developing for PC and PlayStation as well.
Yes, so no
I'm
more
I'm
console exclusives.
I'm pretty sure this is tied to the factions. Was it? I guess I don't. We
Yes.
don't know. We don't know what exactly it is. It's just the next version of factions.
I thought it was just factions too.
Well, I don't. Had they said it was factions too? I thought it was
No,
just.
I'm just assuming that it will be factions too.
Well, okay, yeah. I guess yeah. For now, we'll just call it factions too. But
Yeah,
I have a feeling that that's what that's tied to. That they're developing that game and it's gonna launch on PC as well as PlayStation 5. So
well,
I mean,
it,
hopefully this means that they'll get better experience with it, so that way this doesn't happen again. Because honestly, the only reason why a PC port this bad happens is because you're not experienced with it. And I know you said that games are developed on PC,
yeah,
so it's kind of like you use the development kit to kind of like port it over, but you develop games differently for consoles than it for PC, especially if you're an exclusive studio. If you're only developing games for PlayStation, to start developing for a new console that you've never developed for, it's kind of hard. Like you can't, or a new platform rather. It's hard to just make that switch. There's a lot of like different tricks that you use, especially now you're dealing with two different like GPUs that you could do AMD, which is what PlayStation uses, or now you got Nvidia. So it's like there's a lot more to account for, especially like when you scale it up because not everybody's running a freaking 4080. So it's like there's a lot more to account for, and I don't think they accounted for it.
they definitely did it. And it doesn't also help that the console fanboys were out there talking about, haha, your PC sucks. Why don't you just get a
Oh,
console? It's like, come on now. No, it's just a bad port. It's not that PC.
yeah,
You
no.
know, if a 4090 can barely handle your game, that's a bad port.
Yeah, it's just bad. Like it's an anomaly. Let's put it that
Yeah,
way. It's not. It's the exception to the rule. Like obviously, there are better PC ports out there. There's freaking
definitely.
I don't think there's ever been an Xbox exclusive that has released a bad PC port. Like Gears, Halo, I'm pretty sure they got pretty good PC ports. So it's like it's not impossible to do. It's
No,
just
but they just worked more at it because Xbox have been doing PC ports for a long time because the games
exactly.
release on both Xbox and PC day one, whereas this is new for Sony. But when you hire a company that does PC ports and they can't do a PC port, that just looks
Didn't
bad.
didn't Sony like recently acquire a
Yeah,
studio that specializes in PC ports?
exactly.
So why did they use them?
I don't know. It's just like you said, bad management, bad calls all around.
Yeah,
And
this
now Naughty Dog is taking the brunt of it, which sucks. They're a really great developer.
yeah. It's not they don't deserve it, but you gotta call a spade a spade. It's a bad PC port.
Definitely, definitely. So get some right into some more news. This time, some more news about ABK. So Japan's Fair Trade Commission, the JFTC, has offered its official approval to Microsoft for its proposed purchase of publisher Activision Blizzard. This approval puts Microsoft one step closer to completing the 68.7 billion US dollar sale. And this was, I think, it was just a day or two, before 11 U.S. senators came out and said they wanted to investigate the JFTC for their business practices with Sony in Japan. And then a day later, the JFTC approved the deal for Microsoft. It seemed very, very odd that the way it
Yeah,
happened.
the timing was very convenient,
Yes, yes. Yeah, the Senate was like, "We're gonna investigate you." Japan was like, "No, not anymore. It's been approved."
right?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's a big step. Japan approved it 100%. It wasn't like a provisional finding or anything. They just approved it, much like Brazil and Serbia, Saudi Arabia, and all these other countries that approved it already. They were like, "Yep, it's good to go. No problem with us.
Yep.
And now we're waiting some more last findings and words from CMA, EU, and FTC to finally put this to rest.
Yes, so slowly but surely, like everybody's starting to come around on this acquisition, and it's only hurting the FTC's case. And once we hear from the CMA and EU, I think it's pretty much a done deal at that point.
Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so I mean, yeah, just another one to add to the checklist.
Yeah, because even today there was some news about the Department of Justice here was wanting to stop and sue Activision Blizzard for their esports and all the money in esports and those esports teams that were suing Activision Blizzard for fair wages. So the news dropped, and I was going to put it originally in the news cycle, but then literally 2 hours later they settled. I
What?
was like,
Okay.
okay. So it's like it wasn't that big of a deal then anyway, because literally 2 hours later, after they said they were gonna sue, they settled. I was like, oh, what?
Yeah,
What happened here?
that's weird.
Yeah, and yeah, because
But
Activision Blizzard they own like the esports stuff. So
yeah, true.
and then Department of Justice said they were gonna sue to stop them, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's settled. So I don't know what happened.
I
But
mean,
maybe it's tied to ABK. Who knows?
yeah, who knows? That's out of like our realm of like
I
knowledge.
I know, definitely is. We can speculate all we want, but um, ultimately, for that particular news cycle, we won't be knowing any more information unless they fully release why and what happened.
Yeah, but I doubt that happens.
Yeah, definitely. So we're just glad to have Japan approve this deal so that we can be over and done with this. And
Absolutely.
And speaking of Japan, our last bit of news here, we have a Final Fantasy 16 dev has a terrible answer for why the game is so white.
Yeah.
So
This
a couple weeks ago, Square Enix released a new story trailer for its upcoming RPG, Final Fantasy 16, and people noticed a problem that it's everybody. It doesn't seem to be a single non-white character in it, and IGN I actually got to ask Nokia Yoshida, one of the developers, about whether the game would feature any black people or other people of color. And ultimately, his response was like, "Oh man, like
yeah.
yikes, big
Yeah,
time."
this one was really it got me heated.
Yeah, definitely. I before we even continue, I immediately said, "Yep, I'm not gonna buy this game."
Yeah. No,
I'm just not gonna support
never
that.
yeah, I never like it kind of justified my uh I don't want to say disinterest because I've always been interested in Final Fantasy, but it's just like I've never had the wherewithal to just jump in and be like, oh, let me just play a game, pay Final Fantasy, see how I like whatever. But it's like now knowing how the freaking developer, not even just the developer, the director of these
Yeah,
games feels, it's just like, you know what? Screw that.
yeah, definitely. I mean, so we'll just get into what he said. He explains that the Final Fantasy world of Valista was based on medieval Europe, and they wanted to limit the world culturally and geographically. He says in quotes, Valista was never going to realistically be as diverse as say modern day Earth or even Final Fantasy 14. He said, as it he said, ultimately, we felt that while incorporating ethnic diversity into this world was important, and overall incorporation into the single corner of much larger world could end up causing a violation for those narratives boundaries we originally set out for ourselves. And it just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
It just doesn't make sense.
It's like they want to have their cake and eat it too. So it's like
Yeah.
they're trying to justify why they decided not to feature any like black or people of color in their game because like, oh, they're basing it off this time period or whatever.
Yeah.
Let alone that the fact that there were actually people of color in that time period, that they're
There
basing
were
it on.
black people throughout all of history, throughout all
Exactly.
of time.
Exactly.
There was never no black people anywhere. That doesn't make any sense. There were black people
Exactly.
everywhere.
But that aside, what gets me is the fact that they're trying to justify and saying like this is their fantasy world, that it's their world. They can do
Yeah.
whatever they want. They're saying that they don't want to include people of color because it doesn't fit their narrative or
Yeah.
their idea of fantasy.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
then when they say, but like, why? Like, that doesn't make any sense. It's fantasy. You can make it whatever you want. They say, oh, but based on the realistic time period. It's like, but it's a game. It's fake. It's not real. You can do whatever you want with it. You don't have to abide by boundaries that you set for yourself. Because in the end of the day, if you want to put a black person in there, you could put a black person in there. You've done it before in previous games. So it's like, what is stopping you now? It just comes off as very short-sighted. And I know
Definitely.
I don't want to be too like hard on them because it's like there's also the aspect that some things can get lost in translation. And especially with a Japanese developer, because they sometimes certain things don't have a way of saying it properly in English, so it can be mistranslated as certain things. I don't speak Japanese, so I don't know exactly what he said, but it's based on what was translated. It comes off as very, very like not xenophobic, but it's just like very just short-sighted that they didn't see that this was an issue.
Yeah. I mean, his comments is that we're telling the story we're telling is fantasy, yes, but it's also rooted in reality. I mean, you can't have a fantasy game that's rooted in reality and not have black people in it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. But you're absolutely right. Things can get lost in translation. They
Yes.
can. But also, I'm not giving them a pass on this. I don't care if the translator was bad or not. Get a better translator.
Yeah. No,
Because with this type of comments that are it is rooted in white supremacy. You just can't have comments like that.
So I want to touch on that too, because there's been an I guess for me personally, like I've realized more and more that when it comes to, and not to sound like I don't want to come off as like saying that like I'm judging like Japanese culture or anything like that, because it's completely different over there. But what I have noticed is that a lot of Japanese culture is inherently, I don't want, it's really hard to like say, because I don't want to be too strong with my words, but for lack of a better term, that Japanese culture is inherently racist. It's not intentionally. It's not like they're purposely like saying, oh, no blacks or no people of color, no foreigners, whatever. Like, it's just their culture is very prideful of their culture. Like, they like to keep that shit intact.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
any like outside influence, like they kind of just like shun it. That's why Xbox has such a struggle in Japan, because it's an American product. Japanese people don't like American products, except for I guess iPhone. That's like the only thing that they like over there. That's an American product.
It's almost American. It's made in China.
And all right, the branding Apple company is American. But anyway, yeah. So it's like they tend to like be kind of like xenophobic in that way. Like they don't like outside influence interfering with their culture. So that kind of translates, and this goes beyond just video games. This is also like for anime, just any kind of thing that comes from Japanese or Japan, it's influenced by this mentality, and it's a very old mentality as well. It's not
Definitely.
a lot of younger, more like socially aware Japanese people, they know that this is kind of like really shitty.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's very like traditional in that sense. So it kind of leans into the fact that a lot of Japanese games don't think about black people in that way, like, and it's like a trope in video game or Japanese video games. That's like whenever there's like a character creator in a Japanese video game, they give the same three hairstyles for
Yeah.
black people. They got the cornrows, the afro, and then the buzz cut or bald. I guess
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah.
so. It's like that's it. That's all you get, and it's like that. That's very like people see that, and it's just like, yo, do you not understand that there are more people than just Japanese people, or
And
that there are more people than just American or European? Like there's a lot more to that. Like you can't be so isolated to that culture or to just different cultures. And it becomes an issue when in this situation where it's like you're so oblivious to that world, that or the people that play your games,
yeah.
that you don't see an issue with it. That you think that is a justifiable answer to say, oh well, we know diversity is important, but this is our narrative, and that's what we're trying to like. No, you can't say that. You cannot say that. That's like the wrong thing to say.
I
Like,
mean, coming from his perspective, it may not be the wrong thing because, like I said, a lot of like you said, Japanese culture does have inherent racist tendencies. They don't see it as racist though; they're just being Japanese.
I
You
know,
know,
but that in itself is the problem, is what I'm
yeah,
saying. Like that
yeah,
idea that it's fine because that's how it's always been. Like, no, like
yeah.
you have to be more. I don't want to say woke, but essentially you have to be more aware of the stuff that's going on around the world, not just around your backyard. That's
Yeah.
why like there's more and more Japanese companies are embracing this actually, and they're taking more of a Western approach. Freaking what's his name? Hideo Kojima. Like if anything, he is influenced by Western culture. Like if you look at all his games, like you wouldn't know it was developed by a Japanese company. Like they're very Western influenced
Very
and
American.
American. Just like it's just the themes that he goes for. He realized that he can't pigeonhole himself into the Japanese bubble, and he has to expand. And that goes for the same for Western developers too. They have to open their minds towards Japanese cultures too, or Japanese audiences, because sometimes games don't sell well over there. Like Western games don't sell well over there because they're not catered to that audience. But it's a give and take, and
Definitely.
I think it's very irresponsible for a developer to use that excuse in this day and age. Like you should know better. Even any PR person would tell you like you probably shouldn't say this.
I mean, when you have Japanese people who, especially older Japanese people who are set in their ways, it's hard to teach them, you know, that difference. That
Maybe.
it's hard to teach anybody, not just Japanese people. Hard to teach anybody who are set in their ways, especially when it comes to bigotry. It's hard to teach them the right way. Violence is not the answer. That doesn't work. That would just make them more of a bigot.
Mm-hmm.
You have to teach them, and some older Japanese people don't want to be taught that it's okay to be black and have black characters, and or not have racist black characters, like when we see
Oh, yeah, stereotypical, yeah.
stereotypical characters, like because even in today's medium, when they did One Punch Man, anime One Punch Man,
Mm-hmm.
and their black character, and it was just like, that's racist.
Yeah.
And I mean, look at Dragon Ball Z with
I was
Mr.
just about to say
Popo.
that, yeah, Mr. Popo. I
You
mean,
know,
there's been other examples too. Like if you look at
definitely.
even like in the original Dragon Ball, like there were black characters there, but like if you look at them, like they weren't. They were like very rooted in that stereotypical design of like what black people were seen as back then.
Definitely.
So, but they've come around actually. Like just recently, the Dragon Ball superhero movie, they had a black character that looked normal. So
Yes.
like that
Yeah.
honestly, that's a very big step forward in terms of
Definitely.
embracing different cultures.
Definitely. We can. They can learn. Yes. But like you said, there's a lot of these new age younger people who are making those changes.
Yes.
And I think that's what we have to keep pushing. The younger generation will, especially in Japan, they're going to outlast the older generation because there's just it's too many old people. They're dying off.
Mm-hmm.
There's not enough younger people to stimulate their economy. So a lot of the times it's just middle aged and older people doing a lot of the major stuff over there. So that kind of gets stuck in their ways of what they need to do. But the younger crowd, the more woke crowds, so to speak, they can cause real change over there. And that's what needs to happen.
Absolutely. I mean, eventually it'll get better. It's just right now we're starting to see why it's become an issue. And I feel like a lot of times before people were kind of okay with just, turning a blind eye to it and say, oh, the game is still fun. But now it's becoming just like, okay, enough is enough. Like you gotta be a little bit more open to this type of stuff. But
Well, we can definitely say something about it by just not buying and playing the game.
exactly. I was gonna say, vote with our wallets. Tell them how you really feel with how you spend your money, and
Definitely.
don't. And no, what got me though is that people were actually trying to defend this. I got into it on Twitter, and I know that's a whole can of worms with Twitter.
Yeah.
But you like people who defend this stuff. Like I don't get it. There was this one guy who I don't know how the hell he was trying to turn this into a console war thing.
What?
He was trying to say like, oh, because you're an Xbox, you just trying to fight something to get upset. Like, no, like I don't even care about Final Fantasy like that. It's just the principle of this thing. Like, am I not allowed to call this stuff out when I see it? Like, I don't have to be black to call this stuff out. And I don't have to be a PlayStation fan or Final Fantasy fan to call this stuff out. It has nothing to do with freaking consoles at this point. Like,
Well,
it's the culture. That's what I'm criticizing.
Well, that's because the extreme fanboys on both sides, that's all they see. All they see is console wars. They don't see the reality of certain situations. They're like, oh, you're hating on a PlayStation exclusive, you're an Xbox. You like only Xbox, oh, you're a pony. Either way, it doesn't matter. They don't see the reality.
They live in a bubble, and
they do.
I have to realize that because like it gets me so upset that like
I know
I can't even talk about this stuff.
I do it to myself too on Twitter. I argue with these people, and it's like it's not that we're fanboys of Xbox, it's that we can see the reality and what's going on behind this, and it has nothing to do with console wars.
Yeah, if this was an Xbox game that was doing this, I would still call it out.
Definitely call out Microsoft at any point. Call them out, expect change, make them change so that way it can be better. Doesn't matter the company, whether it be Sony, Xbox, Final Fantasy, Square Enix, whatever it is. We have to call it out so that way we can change that way of thinking.
Exactly. 1000%. But I guess that'll do it for this week. I ranted enough,
Okay. I'm here for it.
It's all good. You can follow us on our socials. Our link tree is in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video anywhere you can, because the more people that see it, the better. Because we really want this to get eyeballs on this thing, because I want people to hear my rants. But and it's funny because I'm not even the one who usually rants. It's always Brother Zay. But anyway, so that's it. We'll see you guys next week. Peace
Peace out.